Oh, good morning, neighbor. Welcome to Furroughfield. I'm your neighbor, Paula, and I was just getting ready to head over to the general store to get the day started. But since you're here bright and early, I suppose I could show you around real quick. Here in Furroughfield, we've got just about everything you could need to start a farm of your own, from spacious farmland to resources, a budding economy, and more. Over here, we've got the general store, where you can buy seeds, fill up your water bucket, or load up on fertilizer. Down the road, you'll find the farmer's market, where a rotating selection of market stalls will give you all kinds of ways to prepare your fields. You never know what you'll find available. Next door is the trading post, where you'll always be able to barter with extra resources for the things you need. Head over to the workshop when you're ready to start building on your land. A well-placed building can enhance your farm in a variety of ways. Finally, when you're ready to get your hands dirty, head over to the fields to plant, tend, and harvest all those crops you've worked so hard to gather. Each of our neighbors has a special knack for navigating the harvest business and will find success in unique ways specific to their talents. It seems like you've got the gist of it. Now, there is one more thing. Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow who?
It's me, Gary the cow. That's Gairy if anyone is asking. I'm the mayor of Furroughfield, and it's a pleasure to meet you, neighbor. Paula, I heard you had our new neighbor over here, and we're giving them a rundown of our illustrious Commonwealth.
Oh, good morning, Mayor Gary. Yes, I was just...
Paula, did you tell them about their campaign yet?
No, I was just getting to that.
Neighbor, now that you're up to speed on all things Furroughfield, you'll want to hear about this year's harvest campaign. We're going around raising funds for the town so we can make this the best harvest season ever. We've got big plans to streamline how things work around here and encourage a little friendly competition that will help each and every neighbor reach their full potential. We'll implement what other towns have called a worker placement system. This will ensure you and all your neighbors will have a chance to get what you need for your farm. But you'll want to be strategic. Early birds get the best worms around here.
Yes, we've worked hard to make sure that any old crow or young buck can learn how to be successful. Like Gary said, you'll want to take advantage of each sunrise so that...
Upgrades! Another major part of this campaign will be making upgrades to every aspect of our quaint little Commonwealth. Your donation, no matter the amount, will go toward upgraded materials and the highest quality resources we can find to make every neighbor's harvest experience as lovely as possible.
Yes, and if you give just a little more, you'll get some great bonus rewards.
Awards! Paula, we forgot to tell them the previous harvests have been award-winning.
You know what, Gary? I've got things to do. Why don't you just tell them the rest?
Back when Mayor Minstrel was in charge of things, Harvest received a Dice Tower Seal of Excellence. All that being said, me and Paula here sure hope you'll partner with us and come join our little slice of Harvest Heaven. Isn't that right, Paula? Paula? Now where did she get off to? Paula! Paula!
Hello, Wolfpack, and welcome to Furroughfield. First off, wanted to give a huge thank you to Keymaster Games for sponsoring today's preview video and for believing in our project Filming at a Farm. Also wanted to give a huge thank you to Paula Deming and Mile for their incredible voiceover work doing the intro shots for that too. So super fun to be able to get a chance to work with everyone. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about harvest. Okay, now as you've seen from our intro, this right here is Furroughfield. And your goal in this game is to reap the most bountiful harvest this season. There are 3 phases of this game, and phase 1 is the sunrise phase. So how this works is you're going to have a sunrise card to begin with. So let's say I'm playing as Leland the Frog versus Jamie the Bunny. In this case, we're looking at our sunrise cards and we're only looking at the number listed on the right side. Since I have a 2, I get to go first and pick one of these sunrise cards to replace in my hand. Let's say I want to go for number 4. So I'm going to take my card, replace it with this sunrise card, and this card tells me that I'm going to get 3 coins, which I'm going to use to purchase a bunch of different things. And also says that during the sunrise phase, I also get to start with 1 wheat. And that right there is the sunrise phase, where you're pretty much choosing your initiative order, your player order. And typically, like if you choose a higher ranked player order, which is like a lower number, then you'll have less rewards than the person going at like 10th place with more rewards. After that, it's going to go into our action phase. This game right here has my favorite mechanic, which I talk about a little too often on my channel, and that is worker placement. So how this worker placement works is you're going to take your wheelbarrow and you're going to place it around different spots in Furroughfield. Let's talk first about the general store. Now at the general store, if I place my wheelbarrow on the number 3 spot over here, then that means I got to take 3 actions. And what you can do at the general store is you can upgrade or you can fill in your water bucket for 1 cent. You can get 1 fertilizer for free, or you can buy any crops. And then wheat is the lowest selling crop, so of course this is going to be free, followed by strawberry for 1 cent, blueberries for 2 cents, and pumpkins worth the most at 3 cents. So that's how much it costs. And also later on, I'll explain that when you harvest them, pumpkins also give the highest value as well. So if I were to go to the general store, I can fill up my water bucket all the way for 1 cent. I can gain 1 fertilizer, or I can spend some money in order to buy some crops. Now the question is, well, what do I do with those crops, Tim? What do I do with the water, the fertilizer? Well, that's where the fields come into place. So let's say that I got a bunch of resources. I'm now going to go over to the field. And the highest action here says I can take 3 field actions, but I have to pay the cost of the round. So in this case, if this is round 1, then I would pay 1 coin in order to activate this 3 action spot. So with the wheat that I got earlier from the general store, I can take this and plant it for free. So you're gonna look at the chart and it's gonna tell you what it costs to plant each crop. In this case, it would cost 0, it would cost nothing for wheat, but it would cost up to 3 fertilizers if I were to plant a pumpkin. And then you're ultimately playing a polyomino game, because then you can place your crop in any orientation on your field. And then let's say I want to multiply my crops. Let's say I tend my crops. In this case, I'm going to spend 1 water to tend my crop. Now that's going to allow me to multiply the wheat and then add it adjacent to my original wheat on the left side over here. Strawberries are a little different because they actually are multiplied by 2. So every time I tend 1 strawberry, I would get 2 more strawberries added on to my field. And then blueberries actually will start off as a bush. And when you tend them, then little blueberries will pop up on your bush. So I go over to the general store to get all my supplies, my water, fertilizer, and crops. I'm gonna take all of those and I'm gonna plant them in the fields and tend them and then harvest them for points. Because here, when you harvest, you'll harvest all the crops on your field and then you'll gain points. And this is the main way that you're gonna score points in the game. So after that, the question is, well, Tim, eventually I'm gonna run out of space in my field. How do I clear out the forest? Well, that question is answered by going over to the workshop on the right side of the board. So when you go to the workshop, the first action you can take is build. So you can pay a certain number of coins and then grab one of the buildings in each consecutive row. So all these buildings here are worth 1 coin versus 2 coins versus 3 coins. And at the end of the round, these buildings will drop down so they're worth a lower cost. Now you might have also noticed that on our player boards, we have buckets of water. And since I'm playing as Leland starts off with a ton of water. But in order for us to raise the cap of buckets and really fill up our water, we can actually go to the workshop in order to raise our limit for how much water that we can hold. That right there is going to cost us 1 coin. And the last action is to clear our fields for 2 coins. So if I were to spend 2 coins, I can then clear out one of my forest tiles, and these tiles are actually going to be flipped up, and this becomes a brand new building in the workshop. After that, I get also roll this die, and I'll get a random reward, whatever's listed there. So in this case, I rolled a fertilizer, which means I would also gain 1 fertilizer as well. So in summary, if I go to the workshop, I can buy a building, and I'll just grab one of these. So I'll pay the 3 coins, and then this right here will get placed onto my field. These buildings right here will give me either endgame conditions, or they'll give me an ongoing effect or a one-time effect. These buildings will give you unique effects, like they're either endgame bonuses. For instance, the gatehouse will give you 2 points for each of your night buildings. But if I were to go over to the bed and breakfast, that would give me 3 points at the end of the game. If I go to the barn, I would get water and a field action and so on. So that's one action you can take at the workshop, which is to get a building. I can also raise the limit of my bucket for 1 coin. And then I can also clear one of my forest tiles for 2 coins and then roll a die in order to gain that benefit. So those are half of the areas. There are 2 more areas I want to talk about in Furroughfield. The next one is over here in the farmer's market. Here's where you're going to barter for some actions and get a lot of bonuses at once. So for instance, if I were to go over here, I would get a blueberry, a pumpkin, and fertilizer, all for just 3 coins. And this market will expand with the more players that you have. If I'm playing with a 4-player game, then I would have access to more tiles listed over here. And they're also going to switch out with every round as well. So you notice here how there's a stack of 3 in total. And lastly, the trading post. Here is where you can take, again, multiple actions. So if I were to go to this spot, I can take up to 2 actions at the trading post, and I can trade a certain amount of resources for a different amount of actions. So in this case, this right here is any crop. I can trade in any crop to, for instance, take a field action, or I can take 2 fertilizer, and then same thing, take a field action, or clear, or upgrade one of my crops and get a coin. So that right there is the action phase. All you're gonna do is take 1 wheelbarrow, place it at a spot in Furroughfield, and take the effects that we talked about. You're gonna take turns putting out 1 wheelbarrow per person, and then once all 3 wheelbarrows per player has been placed out, then you move on over to phase 3, which is the sunset phase. And in this one, this is when all of your buildings will move down and decrease in cost. You also have access to a brand new set of actions at the farmer's market. And then you take all of your wheelbarrows back. Now, the last thing I want to mention about this game is that you can also choose to play with either a simple side with your character where there is no asymmetric effect, or introduce asymmetry for each unique character, and each character will have a different effect that you can utilize during the game. And that right there is the gist of how Harvest works. After this, you're going to go back into your sunrise phase and then repeat going into the action phase until the 4th round is over. Endgame gets triggered, and after that, the endgame scoring conditions goes as follows. You get points for your unharvested crops, your harvested crops. You also get points for your building tiles, and there are several different ways that you can score points at the end of the game as well. So with that said, thank you all so much for joining me on a preview of Harvest. If you have any questions about this game, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it here to the very, very end, let me know which animal is your favorite out of all the ones you've seen here at Harvest. Which one would you play? Not gonna lie, my immediate favorite is Leland the Frog, because I just absolutely love frogs. There are no wolves yet in this game, but that would be my first choice than Leland here. But you all knew that already. All right, everyone, that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here as always, and I will see you all in the next one.